What does it mean to live a good life? Is happiness something we chase or something we build? More than 2,300 years ago, a philosopher tried to answer this question by studying the world around him: nature, politics, ethics, human behavior. His name was Aristotle. He was the student of Plato, and later the teacher of Alexander the Great. But Aristotle's greatest ambition was something even larger. He wanted to understand how the entire world works, and in doing so, he helped shape the foundations of science, philosophy, and education. Many of the ways we think today can be traced back to his ideas. Aristotle was born in 384 BCE in northern Greece. His father was a physician who worked for the Macedonian royal court. Because of this, Aristotle grew up surrounded by the study of nature and the human body. When he was 17, he traveled to Athens. There, he joined Plato's famous school, the Academy. For nearly 20 years, he studied philosophy under Plato, but Aristotle eventually began to think differently from his teacher. Plato focused on abstract ideas and perfect forms beyond the physical world. Aristotle believed something else. If we want to understand reality, we should start by observing it. Instead of looking away from the world, Aristotle looked directly at it. He studied animals, plants, weather, human behavior. Everything became a subject of investigation. Later in life, Aristotle founded his own school in Athens. It was called the Lyceum. There, he and his students walked through gardens while discussing philosophy, science, and politics. It became one of the earliest research centers in history. One of Aristotle's greatest contributions was the creation of formal logic. He wanted to understand how reasoning works. How can we tell if an argument is valid? To answer this, Aristotle developed a structure called the syllogism. It works like this: all humans are mortal. Socrates is human. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. This might seem simple, but it introduced a powerful idea. Arguments can be tested for logical consistency. For nearly 2,000 years, Aristotle's system of logic shaped philosophy, science, and education. Even today, logical reasoning remains central to how we think, debate, and analyze information. But Aristotle did not stop at logic. He also believed that knowledge begins with observation. Instead of relying only on abstract ideas, he carefully studied the natural world. He examined animals and plants. He recorded their characteristics and behaviors. He attempted to classify living organisms and understand how they function. Because of this work, Aristotle is sometimes called one of the earliest founders of biology. His approach was simple but revolutionary. Observe the world carefully, look for patterns, then form explanations. This basic method helped lay the groundwork for scientific thinking. Yet, Aristotle was not only interested in understanding nature, he was also deeply concerned with how human beings should live. In one of his most famous works, the Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle explored the meaning of a good life. He believed that the ultimate goal of human existence is something called eudaimonia. This word is often translated as happiness. But Aristotle meant something deeper, not pleasure, not temporary satisfaction. Eudaimonia means flourishing. It means living a life in which a person develops their abilities, cultivates virtue, and contributes to society. For Aristotle, happiness is not simply something we feel, it is something we become. One of Aristotle's most famous ideas is known as the golden mean. He believed that many virtues lie between two extremes. For example, Too little courage becomes cowardice. Too much courage becomes recklessness. But the balanced middle is courage itself. The same pattern appears in many areas of life. Generosity lies between selfishness and wastefulness. Confidence lies between insecurity and arrogance. For Aristotle, living well means learning to find balance, not through strict rules, but through wisdom and experience. Aristotle also explored politics and society. He believed human beings are naturally social creatures. He famously described humans as political animals. By this he meant that people thrive within communities, families, cities, governments. But the purpose of political life, he argued, is not merely survival, it is to help citizens live good and meaningful lives. A healthy society should encourage virtue, education, and cooperation. Even today, debates about leadership, citizenship, and the role of government reflect Aristotle's ideas. Aristotle's influence spread far beyond his own lifetime. His writings shaped philosophy and science for centuries. Scholars in the Islamic world preserved and expanded his works. Medieval thinkers integrated his ideas into theology. During the Renaissance, scientists returned to his emphasis on observation and inquiry. For many centuries, European universities treated Aristotle as one of the greatest authorities on knowledge. His influence can still be seen in philosophy, science, politics, and education. But Aristotle's ideas are not only important historically, they speak directly to the challenges of modern life. In a world filled with extreme opinions, his idea of balance reminds us that wisdom often lies between extremes. In a culture focused on instant pleasure, his concept of flourishing asks us to think about what truly makes life meaningful. And in an age of overwhelming information, his commitment to careful observation reminds us to base our beliefs on evidence. Aristotle believed a good life does not happen by accident. It is something we cultivate through knowledge, through character, through thoughtful participation in society. More than 2,000 years ago, Aristotle tried to understand how the world works. But he was also asking something deeper. What kind of life is worth living? It is a question that still challenges us today, and perhaps one we are still learning to answer.